Okay.
When I went to Gartree at the time, the Muslims were in a very poor state. And I was hearing stories, and it was true as well, that a person would, there were certain instances that were happening from outside, and it was reflecting back on the Muslims in prison. So, for example, one of those guys, what I told you already from before and earlier on in our conversation, that he would go into a cell, there would be 3 Muslims sitting down, and he would slap them, saying, "What's Allah going to do?" And things such as this. So when we were hearing all these kind of horror stories,
It's another inmate, yeah?
yeah, another inmate. When we're hearing all these kind of horror stories, and I'm saying, who? So, the first thing that I said was that I want to know who this individual is, so I can engage in whatever we need to engage with.
And him doing that, obviously racist, bullying or whatever, being a bigot, the prison officer probably knew what he was doing, right?
Of course, because I assumed that he was in charge. So, I don't like to speculate.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So for me,
it was a norm, though.
It's not like for me. It's not for me looking for others to respond to a situation.
Yeah.
I just took it on board myself. So I went to see this individual, and then took it from there.
And it turned out good for him.
To be fair though, and this is why that Islam talks about compassion as well. When you know that somebody is actually petrified, somebody is so scared, then there is no need for you to go further.
Have mercy on them.
You have to. Allah is merciful to those that show mercy. And we need to understand this to some of the younger brothers as well. Because one thing that our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said as well, he said, "My ummah will be destroyed by foolish young men." So we need to be very careful here. So when I saw that he was all kind of very petrified, he was actually shaken. I actually felt sorry for him.
So you gave him a pass?
So yeah, I did. But I said, under no uncertain terms that you're going to go around intimidated. I first posed the question, what did they do to you?
To be just.
But he even tried to deny it.
They didn't do that to him.
So after that, I just thought, you know what? I thought I was doing the
right thing.
Yeah, and doing your civil duty as well. They're talking about, like, if there's a problem as well, try to resolve it and so forth. And I felt that I resolved it.
Yeah.
Next thing, it was a very embarrassing moment for me. Next thing, I'm on the toilet. So taking a comfort break. And my door bursts open and there's the mufti. So what the muftis are as well is officers that put on the PPE. So that's the protective gear. So they have the helmets, the shields and so forth. And they moved me down to seg saying that I was bullying. I was there less than 6 months.
Look at that. So the guy that was actually bullying, he had no consequences. But you're the guy that actually helped and they took you down the segregation.
And it was sad. By then they were basically saying that I was radical. Because it first started with these kind of accusations that I was radical. It started when I was in Dovegate. And there's a lesson to learn in this. There was this teacher, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, he just disliked me. I wrote a poem. There was nothing radical. All I said was, like, look, I said this: as I burn some incense and meditate the mind, I elevate myself to a higher spiritual state of consciousness, to break bread with the sons of man as I wander the realms of the cosmos, as I look through the telescope of life with my third eye, viewing a valley full of dry bones and the motivated soldiers. How is that radicalization?
That's radicalization.
There were some guys in uniform that came in, some guys in suits that came in and took the computer, everything that I was working upon. So that's the first time that I actually got flagged up. Now, I remember when I was...
So that's funny, because that's nothing to do with radicalization. Nothing.
It was confusing. They were all deciphering everything that was... Like,
there's a secret code in there.
They asked me to write a poem. It's not even like if I took it upon myself. They said, today's activities are, you're going to write a poem. Everybody liked what I wrote. It went further. And all of a sudden is that they're basically saying that this is radicalization. So let's fast forward it. So now I'm in Gartree. I'm in the seg. There was one officer in particular, and he was just like, yeah, gotta destroy your life.
What?
This is what he's saying. He's saying, yeah, this is what he said, and I apologize to the viewers that may be offended by what I'm going to say next, but he says, what's your Allah Akbar's going to do now? That's how he was talking. He couldn't even pronounce it properly. Allah Akbar. Like, like taking a mick. And I looked at him and I said, I know at the time I was emotional, so you have to also understand. I said that I'm going to dedicate my life in getting you. But as what we say is that Allah is the best of planners. And I'm not, what happens next, I'm not trying to glorify anything. But one thing that I've learned in life is what everyone has a price to pay. I've had to succumb. I've had to pay my price. So you see that officer said that I'm going to ruin your life. He also committed suicide as well.
Committed suicide?
So that's 2. Then later on, further into my case as well, when they've lied against me on my court case, and especially the lady that testified and lying and saying that I was going to kill her colleague, she also died as well.
For a prison officer to say to you, I'm going to destroy your life, and we see how Allah helps you, basically. That's what he's trying to say. Like, that just shows how far they will go in breaking the rules. Because that's something that is breaking kind of every rule that they stand on. You understand what I mean? It's not your job to ruin someone's life, number one. 101%. And number 2, to insult someone's religion. You're meant to be like the fair justice in the institution.
100%.
And you're mocking a person's Lord, basically.
101%.
And whatever. And this is what this is what a lot of the Muslims on the outside don't know what happens inside there.
Of course.
Because they're locked behind, there's no one overlooking, and there's a lot happening inside to a lot of the brothers. And
my brothers don't even know, because I was explaining this to someone else as well. Did you know that there was about 8 or 7 officers that got convicted?
No, yeah, tell us about this.
Basically in Nottingham. I think it was a prison in Nottingham.
Yeah.
They had a chart and they were given points. So it was like 10 points for beating up a Muslim, 9 points for the N-word, for beating up a N.
Yeah.
They had something like 8 points for beating up a P. And they had all the kind of list of points, and they were foolishly enough to leave it wherever they were leaving it. And there was a whistleblower that exposed them, and they was all incarcerated. But where was the media backlash? Where was the public outcry? All this was just swept underneath.
Could you imagine if a Muslim had a list? Forget a prison officer Muslim. This is a regular Muslim walking down the road. He had a list. If you beat up a white guy, 5 points. That would be on the headlines of every single newspaper in the country.
Look,
guys, today's podcast is in partnership with Stone & Co Solicitors, experts in serious and complex criminal matters. If you have a criminal matter that you need help with, or you've been arrested and want the best representation, contact the number below or drop them an email. All the information is on the screen below, as you can see. Stone & Co can offer specialist criminal defense services on a private basis or legal aid, so you don't pay nothing. And as a promotional offer, they're offering a case review in person or over the phone, free of charge, no obligation, no fees, and they'll take a look at your case, guys.